Hello and welcome to another maths video. We are getting into the Year 10 topic on quadratics. So we're looking now at quadratic equations. So right now, up to date, we've spent all our time looking at quadratic expressions, and expressions are different from equations. Expressions have no equal sign. Equations do. So far I've given you things like x squared plus 8x minus 6, and I've said go and factorize that. But that's not exactly what we're doing now, because that is an expression. There's no equal sign in there. For an equation, the good stuff, it's going to look something more like x squared minus x minus 6 equals 0. So this equal sign here means we can now solve. We can go through and find values of x. This doesn't really mean a whole lot over here. It's just something to play with. This here, we can go and find values of x that make our equation true. So just like we've solved normal equations, just like we've solved the basics like 3x minus 4 equals, say, I don't know, 8. Just like we've solved that, we can now go through and solve this. Just a recap of the most basic case, nice straightforward two-step equation here. What we did, by the way, we added 4 to both sides, and that then got us that 3x is 12. Then we divided both sides by 3, and x was equal to 4 in that case there. Okay, quadratic equations are solved differently, so you do need to be aware of that. And there are multiple different methods. So the method we're looking at first up today is the method of factorising. In different lessons we'll do other methods, but today just by factorising. So like we factorised a few lessons ago, we are going to factorise again today and use that to go through and solve some equations. Let's have a look at some examples we'll talk through as we go. So example A for apple. Example A, we are going to solve them. I just put up for you x squared minus x minus 6 is equal to 0. Okay, so by factorising, what we're going to do, we're going to try and factorise this stuff here. This x squared minus x minus 6. You'll note if there's anything ever on this side here, you want to bring it over to that side over there. So get it all on one side. Once it's all on one side, just treat it like you would any expression. So this thing here, we're just going to kind of ignore the equals 0 bit for a second, just focus on this x squared minus x minus 6 bit. We factorise that, it's monic, we're going to factorise that using PSF. So PSF should be familiar territory for you, so hopefully you're not freaking out too much at this stage. P, S, and F. So P here is going to be minus 6 times 1, so P is minus 6. S was the middle, so S is minus 1. F, so F was for factors. You need two numbers that multiplied, whose product was minus 6, and whose sum was minus 1. So if you need to pause, take a second to work it out. Two numbers that multiply to get minus 6, add to get minus 1. I'm going to tell you the answer now. It's minus 3 and 2. So in terms of factorising, we can say this side here, if we do the short method, this is equal to x minus 3, x plus 2 equals 0. So if you want to, you can now expand that and check that this is the same. I'm going to let you can pause it, do it in your own time if you want to, if you don't trust me. So anyway, we've now got a nice factorised form of our equation. We can solve this now. So what's going to happen, there's a property in maths that says if, I'll put it in a different colour actually, if A times B equals 0, then either A equals 0 or B equals 0. So if you want to test this with some normal numbers, you can. So say you want two numbers that multiply to get you to be 0. One of them must be 0. So you can try like, 10 and 1. It's not going to work. That's 10, 10 and a half, and keep getting smaller. But it only really works A times B equals 0 if and only if one of them is 0. So A equals 0 or B equals 0. Okay, so that's a mathematical property. A little bit of a side note, but we do need it for what we're about to do. Looking at my equation here, the brackets, in between the brackets, there is a multiply sign. So we now do have the case something multiplied by something else. So something multiplied by something else. So if you want to look at it this way, you could say this is equal to A here, and this is equal to B. So if the two things multiplied together equal 0, then either A equals 0 or B equals 0. So this leads me now to two cases. I have either x minus 3 is equal to 0, or x plus 2 is equal to 0. So I've now broken down and got myself two equations which I need to solve. Solving these like a normal equation, here I would add 3 to both sides, so I get x is equal to 3. Over here I would subtract 2 from both sides, x is equal to minus 2. And I do get two solutions. Okay, so Mike's going to come along, boom, boom, two solutions. Thank you very much. Alright, that's a bit of a workout. Let's just kind of recap and check that our solutions work. First we'll check that they work just to make sure we're looking good. X is 3. If I substitute x is 3 into my equation, 3 squared is 9. 9 minus 3 minus 6. So 9 minus 3 is 6, minus 6 is 0. That checks out. Similarly, if I put in minus 2, minus 2 squared, well, negative times a negative is positive, so it's 4. Then minus 2, so it's 4 plus 2, the double negative. 4 plus 2 is 6. 6 minus 6 is 0. That does work. It's important with the quadratics, with your x squareds, you're pulling out there's two solutions. Not one solution, two solutions. As you saw there, my two solutions, x is 3, x is equal to negative 2. Okay. First example is a little bit theoretical, but we'll do a few more. Hopefully you get a bit of a grounding on things when we've done a few more, and it looks kind of nice. But it's really important, this property here in pink. If you can recognize that and recognize breaking it down in terms of the case here, then I think it comes out okay. Very important. Alright, moving on. Example B for banana. Example B today, it's in green now. Example B, we're going to do x squared plus 7x plus 10 is equal to 0. Okay, so like I said, there are multiple methods in which we can ask you to solve these things. Our first method, what we're doing today, is by factorizing. Okay, so get everything on one side, it already is, and now we're just going to factorize that using the method we already know, using PSF. So PSF, applying that here, P is going to be 10 times number out the front, so 10 times number out the front is going to be 10 times 1, which is 10. S is going to be 7. F, two numbers that multiply to give 10, add to give 7. I think it's pretty straightforward here. Multiply to give 10, 5 and 2 will be your numbers that you're after. Yes, we do give you ones that are non-monic. So I think my next example will be a non-monic one for you, just to show you that it still works, it's still the same thing. Anyway, all the monic is helping us doing is factorize a little bit nicer. So this is x minus 5. No, it's not. It's x plus 5, x plus 2 equals 0. So if you want to check that, you can check that by expanding. If you're not sure how I got there, go back and watch the just factorizing video. Solving is a little bit different. The factorizing video will help you factorize nicely if you need to. Alright, so what we've got now, I've got two parts. This part here multiplied by this part here. Okay, and we're a multiply sign in the middle. So if two things multiply to get you 0, then either this is 0 or that's 0. This is 0 or that's 0. Okay, so go through and making that actually the case. X plus 5 is 0 or x plus 2 is 0. This one here, subtracting 5 from both sides, x is equal to negative 5. This one here, x is equal to negative 2. And you can check both of those by substituting in. I trust that they should work. So realistically, it's not a massive step forward. It's just getting your head around this a times b equals 0 business and then going through and solving. Okay, just watch your algebra. It is a little bit finicky. Do a lot of practice. Practice is good. This will help you out. Okay. Example C. C for Cartesian. C for champions. Let's go. My next example I've got is 2x squared plus 9x plus 4 is equal to 0. Okay, so now everything's on one side already, which is nice. The 2x squared, the 9x, and the 4, they're all just hanging out there, cruising for a bruising. It's a quadratic. The x squared in there tells us it's a quadratic there. Quadratic. So PSF, P is now 4 times 2. And that's from our factorising video. 4 times 2 comes out as being 8. S was our middle number, which is 9. So we're after two numbers, F, whose product is 8, and that adds to get 9. So two numbers that multiply to get 8, add together to get you 9. Think about that for a second. I'll put my answer up now for you. There it is, 1 and 8. So 1 times 8 is 8. 1 plus 8 is 9. Alright, so breaking it down, we need to do the full PSF here because it's not monic. So the full PSF, again, coming from the factorising videos, 2x squared plus x plus 8x plus 4 is equal to 0. Grouping in pairs, so my two pairs, pair at the start, pair at the back. Common factor here is x, so I'll then get 2x plus 1 plus 4, 2x plus 1 is equal to 0. So from here, 2x plus 1, 2x plus 1 is in common, that's coming out the front. So 2x plus 1, then I've got in brackets x plus 4, my leftovers there. Okay, if your factorising is not strong, you need to go back and work on it, please. Alright, from here, these two are being multiplied together. So either 2x plus 1 is 0, or x plus 4 is 0. Working this side here, subtracting 1 from both sides, 2x is minus 1, x is minus 1 on 2. On this side here, x is equal to negative 4. Make sure both of your solutions appear nice and clear for a marker. Okay. Same process, guys. Factorize. One side's equal to 0, other side's equal to 0. Go through and solve both of those. One last example, one that students pretty consistently find themselves in trouble on, and it's this example here, or something similar to this. I'm going to say that x squared d x squared plus 6x is equal to minus 8. And students freak out. What on earth are you doing? What are you giving to us? Never seen this before, ever in my life. It's just a quadratic equation. You need to bring it all to one side. Okay, so for a linear equation, you're trying to get x by itself, kind of get everything else to the other side. You get the 8 on one side, you then pull the 6 to the other side, and then play around with it a little bit. I'm going to do another example after this. But anyway, x squared plus 6x plus 8 equals 0. So you get that, of course, by adding 8 to both sides. On this side here, the minus 8 and the plus 8 will cancel. Over here, the 8's not like terms with x squared or 6x, so the 8 doesn't get combined with anything. It comes out as its own independent thing. An independent term. PSF. By factorising. PSF is factorising. P is 8, S is 6. Two numbers that multiply to get 8, add together to get 6 is 4 and 2. So solution-wise for this, x plus 4, x plus 2 is 0. So either x plus 4 is 0 or x plus 2 is 0. You can skip steps here when you get familiar. So x is equal to minus 4 or x is equal to minus 2. Obviously, if you're making errors though, that won't wash so well. I just want to show you one more quick example as well. I did kind of miss it when I was thinking of questions for the video. If I did give you example E, and E I said, can you go and solve x squared plus x equals 0? Again, here you can't do PSF, and sometimes you'll get ones that are difference of 2 squares. There's a whole bunch of different ways of factorizing. Just note in terms of this example here, that would factorize to x plus 1 equals 0. So you've still got your multiply sign in here. So here, either x equals 0 or x plus 1 is 0, i.e. x equals -1. So that's solving by factorizing. Like I said, I think I've done it to death at this stage. Sorry if I'm being boring. But this property here, a times b equals 0, then either a is 0 or b is 0. Sort out what your a is, sort out what your b is. This is equal to 0, that's equal to 0, and go through and solve both of those. Thanks for watching. I hope you've learned something.